Facts are facts. We're live? Okay.
Congratulations.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the November 9th Town of Chestertown Board meeting. Linda, would you please do the roll call?
Supervisor Valentine.
Here.
Councilman Ontasana is absent this evening. Councilman Portman.
Here.
Councilman Holdridge.
Here.
Councilwoman Smith.
Here.
Okay, let's rise for the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, so we're not doing a public hearing tonight. I jumped the gun on that. I take responsibility in our last meeting to try to move this amendment forward, but so what I'm going to do is we're going to do public comment first. Do we have anybody that would like to speak at public comment?
Well, I have a written comment.
Okay, well, let's
So
do public
people-
comments because we're going to move this thing down and we're going to introduce this differently. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
Whoop, don't lose your seat. Whoop-hoo.
All right, Larry Dysinger. Step right up, Larry.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hope everyone is well tonight. Just two quick things. First is with the 2023 budget, preliminary budget. At the last meeting, you announced that there's a settlement, a tentative settlement for the lawsuit. And the town's obligation is 1.3 million, $1.75 million. Be paid out over 10 years, that's 175,000 a year. Now, are you going to adjust your preliminary budget to reflect that 175,000?
Yep, I have that already. We're going to be discussing that tonight.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you're addressing that.
Yeah.
Quick, easy. Okay. I've been in communication with you, Bob, about decommissioning. Now, the only place where it is referenced at this point is for solar arrays. Okay. However, it really applies to any probably commercial structure that is built, whether it be solar arrays, telecommunication towers, or the like. Now, going through chapter 98-40, which is to do with solar arrays, section F3, there's two components. And after reading, I can understand why there is some confusion. In section B, it says such financial security shall be provided either through a security deposit, escrow account, bond, or in a manner otherwise acceptable to the town, and shall be in the amount to be established by the town board upon recommendation from the town engineer. However, in section C, it says the amount is subject to approval of the planning board's professional engineer and the planning board. So there's a conflict. Whose responsibility is it? So what I'm asking the town board is, I think it needs revision to clarify, all right, whose responsibility is it? Secondly, my suggestion is that decommissioning be its own chapter because it applies to more than just solar arrays. Any commercial structure, as I said, it would be applicable to. So I would recommend that it be made its own separate chapter. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that info, Larry. Okay, next on our list, Tracy Shu.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Tracy.
I just had a few things. I wasn't gonna, but then things popped up. I saw about that public hearing you're talking about. I just was curious, when you do a zoning change or propose to make a zoning change, do you notify the neighbors within a certain distance? And I asked that because the Village of Chester is doing possible zone changes. And they had sent out a notice to all people within, I don't know how many feet of those properties. And when questioned, they said that was a state law to do that. So I just didn't know with this particular one, I may not see that in your code, but I didn't know if that's something that you would do, because obviously if his house is going to pop up next to someone who didn't think a house was going to pop up, you'd think they'd want to know about it. Not everybody reads the public notices. So I was just going to ask that question about how that process works with zone changes. The other reason I came was I wanted to inform you, if you've not already been notified of the New York State Association of Conservation Commissions and Orange County Planning. There's going to be a roundtable meeting coming up about the benefits of a conservation advisory committee in your community. They're referred to as CACs. Currently, there are several municipalities that already have them doing good work in their communities. They do things like tree for tribs or completing a natural resource inventory for preservation plans. They address other environmental and research for town boards. I thought, such the group would be great for Chester. Among other items, they could be helpful in reviewing these many grants out there that are available. I know you hired a company and they tell you about all these grants, but I don't think they know of your needs. And if you had such a group, perhaps they would be able to not only, help you figure out things they can do, but more importantly, they'll help implement the project. It's one thing to get a grant, but it's another to actually follow through and do the work. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I don't want to get on my soapbox about how important the environment is and how we need to educate the public. You have town code that maybe will protect the wetland, but if the public doesn't understand the importance of that, there's no guarantee that that's going to stay that way in perpetuity. So anyway, that was the one thing I wanted to let you know about that. I know this has been brought up in the past, and the administration at that time said that they didn't think there'd be anybody who'd want to volunteer, but I think you got to put it out there and find out what you get back. And you just got to try again, because we all live here and we want this community to be sustainable for future generations. The other thing I wanted to mention, just as an update on that cell tower proposal that that's in approval is in shortly. One common comment that kept coming up from the public was that they wanted to know why alternate locations, and not alternate like far away, but farther from their homes. I know the planning board said that wasn't what they were looking. That's not what their job was to do. But I know you guys said that people's concerns would be addressed there. So it was kind of like a little bit of a runaround as far as the pick of the location. And I just wanted to, bring that up to you guys, because I didn't understand why certain sections of the code didn't apply. So I feel for those residents that live right there, because they just didn't know why it couldn't just be pushed out a little farther, because it is going to be 150 feet. It's not going to be camouflaged. And it just, that was just a common question for the people that are the closest to it. And if you guys had already done that research ahead of time before signing the lease, and maybe as far as future projects go, forward that information maybe to the planning board so that they can complete the project with the, compliant with the town code. And then lastly, the one thing I did want to announce in case you weren't going to was the planning chairman had announced a workshop meeting. It's next Wednesday, and they were going to do an in-house seeker review, which I think is a great idea. I think I fully support in-house training. I think that we can benefit a lot from tailoring topics to the planning board. And I hope this is the first of many that are going to happen. And I think it's also important that the public learn about these processes, as well as the town board, because you also do seeker determinations, but you don't have the same training that the planning board has. So I just wanted to, put that out there in case you guys weren't aware of what they're doing. I don't want to speak for the chairman. He may have already planned to announce that, but it was something that I heard. So I just wanted to make an announcement here for the public, for anybody who might be listening. And that was it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. Michelle, do we have anybody at home?
I do. Lydia Quadros, do you have an update on how you will be using the ARPA funds that you received in 21-22?
Not tonight.
Why they didn't make it a priority to get Tracy on our planning board is beyond me. And that is all I have.
Okay. Nobody else. Okay. Is there anybody else in the audience that would like to speak?
My audience?
Well, about on public comment.
Yeah. Well, no, nothing that's on this here directly.
Oh, we're on public comment. Okay, moving along then. All right, so we're closing the public comment section. And then we are going to go, let's have Megan come up and give a little something on wards. Megan's going to give us a little information on wards. Megan's from the county planning department, and Brandon graciously asked Megan to come out. I've been communicating with her, and we're trying to wrap ourselves around wards because it's something that it's time that we have to do, and the more information, the better.
Always. I would actually just like to take a minute and put on my senior land use planner hat and let you know that your consideration for a CAC would actually be helpful potentially towards getting you grant money. Okay, that's done. And so as the county's census and demographic data analyst, let's talk about wards. So according to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, the redistricting standard that's been enshrined is to get as close as possible to one person, one vote. So whenever new districts are drawn, as close to equal representation as possible is the goal. New York State has set that standard at plus or minus 5%, or rather plus or minus 10% of the, I'm sorry, plus or minus 5% so that the largest district is no more than 10% larger than the smallest district in any given area that is being enumerated. So for a place like the town of Chester, whose 2020 census population was 12,646, the average ward population, if you create 4 equal wards, is 3,161 and a half people. You will be happy to know that we will not be cutting anyone in half to make these numbers work. So in order to make that work best, I went through and I enumerated every current election district by census block. So I have those numbers available. I emailed them to Brandon, and those are available to be emailed to the rest of the board at your pleasure. But coming up with a relatively even population that meets the standard of plus or minus 5% is a little challenging with how the wards are, how the current election districts are drawn. And one option for the town would be to redraw the election districts. Don't need to do that right away because we have a workable solution. Election District 1 with a population of 1,516. Election District 2 with a population of 886. And Election District 5 with a population of 1,104 people would give us a total of 3,506 for Ward 1, let's call it. And that would be the largest of the 3 proposed wards, just because there is absolutely no other way to make that math work using the current election districts. Again, we're going for an average population of 3,161. Ward 2 then would be election districts 3, 8, and 9, which would give you a total population of 3,010 people. And then there are 2 options for the southern portion of the town. One would be putting 6, 7, and 10 together, and that would give you 3,013 people. And then 4, 11, 12 together would give you a total of 3,117, which is pretty much as close as possible as you're getting to that average. Or you could go with 6, 7, and 12 together, and that's a total population of 3,067, and 4, 10, and 11, which is a total population of 3,063. That might actually make the most sense geographically, that second option, because 4, 10, and 11 are more along that Monroe boundary and are closer together geographically. The other standard that the Voting Rights Act sort of asks you to adhere to is to make districts as compact as possible, to make sure that people are voting in their communities and to ensure that the community is organized around like interests as opposed to, being spread out all over New York State. So I just threw a bunch of numbers at you. Anyone have any questions?
I do. Okay, Bob, you go first.
So my question would be, most people know that we have a large development coming up.
Yeah.
And that development, I mean, from what I could estimate, at 430 houses could be 1,000 boats, let's say. 1,000, maybe more than 1,000, depending on, a couple, maybe adult children, grandparents, who knows what it could be. But I'm saying I'd use 1,000 as the number. So now that would be District 3.
That would be District 3, yes.
So how does that skew all of the other districts in that formula then?
So to skew all of the other districts in that formula, you would have to do quite a dance. What you are allowed to do as you're forming the wards is to use the most recent census data, because those houses are not built yet and they are not occupied yet. And based on what I used were total population numbers. If you would like to go back and reformulate this with the over 18 population, that's a slightly different story. But yeah,
the reason I bring it up is because the process to get these wards formed is going to take a little while. And by the time we get them formed, we probably will have people living there. So now,
your enumerated population is your legal population for the decade of 2020s.
Okay.
So technically you do not have to take that into account.
So but then you're going to have one ward that's a lot bigger.
So you're going to have one ward where
It's gonna be
votes
more
are
than
diluted
10%.
significantly.
Yeah.
But not all at once either, because those 430 homes are not going to be constructed immediately in
There's
one phase.
There's 80 some homes built there already.
So figure you're at full construction and full occupancy probably around 2026. You can revisit redistricting at that time, but at that time you would be using American Community Survey data, which does not go down to the block level. Okay, so census geography is based around natural boundaries and is built on the block. Think of a block as a letter, a block group is a word, and a tract is a sentence. There are only guidelines on how big tracts can be. A tract is anywhere between 1,600 and 8,000 people. And the goal for census data analysts around the country is to keep those at about 4,000 people, but also to keep that geography fairly stable so that you can track change over time. So in order to use mid-decade data, you would have to be using block group data, which is a block group can be 0 people or it can be 8,000 people. Generally, I mean, they're all over the map. There's no standard for any of that. And they do not come even a little bit close to following existing election district boundaries. Blocks are hard enough to get to that particular boundary matchup. So it's doable if you want to do it that way. I would stick with census year data accumulated to the block level.
I know you had a question first.
Well, that was Bob's question is what I was going to ask, but I do have another question. So average 3,100, I think you said, average ward.
3161.
Okay.
Yep.
So is there a standard for what size or how many people per ward, or is that based off of what your community total, the total people that live in your community, or is there, because I'm thinking like the city of Middletown has a ward system of 25,000 people.
Mhm.
So I don't know what their number is, but is there a standard for, you have 4,000 is the max you can have for one ward?
Not necessarily. Once your ward boundaries are set, you do not have to redelineate them because it's not like a legislative seat where you do have to redelineate the ward boundaries every 10 years following the release of the new census data. I would have you ask your attorney if you are also required to do that. I am not clear on that point, but you may not have to redraw the wards.
Yeah. So your recommendation is to go with option 2, which, just for everybody's reference, Ward 1 would be 3506, Ward 2 would be 3010, Ward 3 would be 3067, and Ward 4 would be 3063. And those numbers were population numbers.
Yes.
But even though you think that is the best option to adopt, it still isn't within the legal boundaries of the 10% from the lowest to the highest, correct?
It's not. You're at about 12%, and that's a guideline. It is generally intended to be as close as possible. I mean, obviously as close as possible to one person, one vote.
So
That legal guideline, though, has a lot better chance of being adopted if you're within the 10% guideline.
right. So if we were to choose to adopt that, hypothetically, it is open to litigation from somebody who would who wouldn't agree with that, with being in the, let's say, Ward 1, where their vote is, for all intents and purposes, diluted because they have more people, but they have the same say as somebody from the lowest, which is Ward 2, by like 500, correct? Do you recommend still that we go with this instead of redrawing the election districts to try to make it fit better with the numbers?
From a data standpoint, I would prefer that you redraw the election districts. That is a significant time investment. That would be probably a month to 6 weeks for the county to
Board of
get that
Elections?
done. Yes.
Yeah.
Board of Elections and the GIS division at the county would be responsible for redrawing that,
Mm-hmm.
and probably me.
That doesn't seem that long to me.
No, I thought you'd say a year or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it depends on what your timeline is for this.
It's relative.
If you're talking about you want this done tomorrow, that's a significant time investment. It's probably a month to 6 weeks.
I would say that's probably worth it because I know when we were speaking about it over the phone, you said somewhere, I think was it Cornwall or somewhere else in the eastern Orange County, there was a lawsuit because of exactly what I described.
Actually, there was a lawsuit against the county for exactly what you described in 2013. We were the county legislative map from 2005 was held to be in effect by the legislature, and there was a lawsuit in federal court for violation of Title V of the Voting Rights Act, and the county lost.
So I'm sure this requires more discussion, but it's just my opinion that I would rather not get the town sued over this. So
For that small time investment, I would gotta do it right.
yeah, exactly. That's just my opinion.
Okay. If you would like to have a resolution to get that started, then we can take that back to Board of Elections and the GIS folks, basically as soon as I have a resolution in hand.
for next meeting probably. Or would we be able to do that tonight?
You can just make a resolution, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Let's make a resolution to direct the county to redraw the election districts.
I would in order for the purposes of
The purposes of
Of the ward.
Yeah.
implementation.
Yeah. population distribution and all that. Yeah, I'd like to motion that.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Being none?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Carry.
Hmm.
Get your copy of that.
Thank you.
So-
So Linda had asked earlier about timeline. So once we get the election districts redrawn and I get those re-enumerated, which I promise will be faster this time, I apologize for the delay. So once all of that is done, you'd have to have a public hearing. So whatever your timelines are for that, 45 days. And then you would have to adopt the new map and it would have to be approved, I believe, by the Department of State. Again, this is something that your lawyer can talk you through the exact procedure better than I can. But this is, you get the new districts, they get re-enumerated. We get you a map, you adopt the map, you have the public hearing on the map, and you get all of that done. That goes up to the state. State says yay or nay. 6 months, maybe. I would not expect it to take a lot longer than that.
Yeah, that's a fair timeline. Okay.
All right, does anybody else have anything else for Megan?
Any other questions?
No? Thank you, Megan, we appreciate it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
No problem.
Okay. Okay, so we did the word thing. So now we're going to jump back to this zoning amendment. So we have we'd like to introduce a local law. What number would this be? 4?
Yeah.
Number 4.
Well, right now, it's an introductory, but it would be 4.
Yeah, okay, so introductory local law. Local law to amend the town of Chester zoning map adopted pursuant to town code 98.4, town code, town of Chester. The premises to be rezoned is presently owned by Ronald J. Nelson and Marjorie B. Nelson, consisting of the lands improved by a single-family residential dwelling. The premises are currently zoned in the AR3 district, and the property owners, Ron Nelson and Marjorie Nelson, are also own property adjacent to the premises, with such property being located in the AI district. The adjacent property designated as Section 1, Block 177-2 in the tax map. Town of Chester is currently an undersized lot. This is a non-conforming use which restricts the construction of a single-family residential dwelling on the adjacent parcel. The rezoning of the premises to an AI district classification will permit a lot line change between the premises and the adjacent parcel, bringing the adjacent parcel into conformity for the purposes of construction of a single-family residential dwelling. Rezoning of the premises to an AI district classification constitutes an appropriate zoning district designation under Article 2 of Chapter 98 of the Town Code of the Town of Chester. This amendment of the zoning map contemplated herein is in accordance with the comprehensive plan of the Town of Chester, and such amendment shall further promote and protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the residents of the Town of Chester. As of the effective date of this local law, zoning map of the Town of Chester shall be and hereby is amended to change zoning classification of the premises described as 26 McBride Road, Town of Chester, designated as Section 1, Block 1, Lot 82, on the tax map of the Town of Chester from AR3, the agricultural residential district, to an AI agricultural industrial district. Construction with regards to other laws, except as specifically stated here in the local law, shall not be construed as superseding, limiting, changing, or superseding any other law, accordance, rule, regulation, or land use with, or construction within the town of Chester. Severability if the clause, sentence, paragraph subject to the local law or application thereof to any person, firm, corporation, circumstance shall be adjusted in any court of common jurisdiction, be invalid or unconstitutional. Such order, judgment shall not affect, impair, or validate the remainder of thereof, and shall be confined in its operation to the clause, sentence, paragraph, subdivision, or part of this local law, or in its application to the person, individual, firm, or corporation, or circumstance directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall be ordered, shall be rendered. Local law will take effect immediately upon filing Secretary of State. That's the local law. I guess I just introduced it. So I introduced the local law. Yeah, so I guess we would like to set a public hearing on this. We have a date.
December 14th.
Okay, December 14th it is. December 14th, and then we can also declare ourselves lead agency on this action. What's up? Oh, yeah, motion, can you make a motion for that public hearing?
I'll make a motion to have a public hearing on December 14th for the zoning change.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to declare Town of Chester lead agency in the action?
I'll make the motion to declare Chester lead
In regards to
agency
secret.
for seeker for the zoning change.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Okay, we have to approve the payment of the bills. We have a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to pay the bills.
Second,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain?
Yeah.
You said that.
One abstention. Motion carried. Okay. False alarm re-levies. Total skip. Good. And less reading, better for you. Okay, we need a motion to, every year we do this, re-levy unpaid false alarm fines on certain parcels. The total for the parcels this year would be $1,225.
I'll make the motion to re-levy the false alarm fine.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Okay, every year we do this, we have an IMA, high visibility engagement campaign for overtime to stop DWI, intermunicipal agreement for the reimbursement of man hours dedicated to enforcement campaigns during the applicable high visibility engagement campaign periods. The IMA reflects the assignment of up to $2,545 to be used by the town police department during its present enforcement period listed on Schedule A and then reimbursed by the county. To accept this, the board will need to make a resolution authorizing someone to sign the agreement. Okay. We have a motion authorizing the supervisor to sign the IMA with the county.
I'll make the motion for the supervisor to sign the IMA with the county.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. This one? Okay, I think it's every 3 years we do this. We have MR Energy Resources. They handle our energy accounts for all of our electrical services in all of our buildings. We've been doing it for a long time. And we had our contract is up this month, and we rebid the electric energy, and we have 3 quotes, Constellation Energy, NG Services, and Smartest Energy. Currently, we pay .05855 per, I guess kilowatt, this is kilowatt. Yeah, so, and on the new contract, it's 36 months. So the average over the 36 months is .05855. So, wait, yeah, that's what it says here. Right?
Is that the same?
Oh, no, that's the right one. I am reading the wrong one, I think. This is a whole big date thing here. All right, I have the wrong paperwork here. Okay, let's table this one. We'll do this next time. All right. All right, Moodna surplus vehicle. This is very complex documentation. All right, so the Moodna, as everybody knows, Moodna Sewer District, all the equipment at Moodna, trucks and all that sort of stuff, equipment is owned by the town of Chester. So they have a 2008 boom truck. Oh, no, it's a boom, 2008 boom. This is just the boom. And then the 2009 utility truck. It's probably what the boom is on. So, and they would like to auction these off as surplus. 2008 Ford F-350. So do we have a motion to declare this equipment surplus and authorize it to be auctioned?
I'll make the motion that the boom, the 2008 boom and the 2009 utility truck be deemed for auction.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, water department has, the water department has a couple of things they want to auction, but we're only gonna do one tonight. We need some information on the other one. They have a walk-behind mower, the old mower that they used to use to mow the water plants. They would like to auction it off as surplus because they have a new mower. They have a newer one that they use. This one just sits around and they're not using it. So do we have a motion to declare the walk-behind water department mower as surplus and auction it?
I'll make the motion for the water department walk-behind mower to be auctioned off as surplus.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Appropriation increase. Highway Department. You always have it. You always have it. Okay, so the highway department account DA 5130.400, that's the machinery account. As discussed during the budget meeting, our repair account is in poor condition due to unforeseen costs of repairing the lift and the cost of repairing the dump body of truck 6. The total expenses for these two items were $37,232. As of today, we only have $1,659 left in that account to get through the end of the year. At this time, I request that the board motion to increase the appropriation DA 5130.4 by $20,000 to be able to get through 2022. On average, the highway department needs $10,000 per month in order to keep the fleet in proper working order. This is the reason for the amount requested. Yes, so everybody knows the lift was a substantial amount of money, and that was unbudgeted because it happened after the budget last year. So would somebody like to make a motion to increase the DA 5130.4 account by $20,000?
I'll make that motion to increase the highway with the DA, whatever,
5130.4.
5130.4, increase appropriations. of 20,000.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on the matter? There being none, this money would come from the DA, fund balances.
Fund
So,
balance.
and there's plenty of fund balance there for that. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the Association of Towns, the organization that all the towns and villages all get a lot of information and training from, are having their annual training session in New York City this winter, and we need to designate a delegate, a voting delegate, and an alternate to vote at the annual event. So I will be going to the event. Is anybody else here on the board plan on going to the event?
Yes,
You're going, Cindy? You, Bob?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
Yep. Okay, so
I'll be the alternate.
you'll be the alternate?
Yeah.
Okay. Have any problem with that, Bob?
I'll be the third wheel.
Okay, so I'll be the voting member, and Cindy will be the alternate. So do we have a motion to that effect?
I'll make the motion that the supervisor, Bob Valentine, be the delegate and Cindy Smith be the alternate.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
It's February 3rd. No, no, sorry, February
It's like
20
20-something.
second.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, we had a little incident where a rock, that thing really sailed, I have to say. It's really far. I didn't believe it when I heard it, and I stand corrected on that. The piece of gravel kind of flew from the mower in the Little League park and lodged itself in a piece of siding. So Colleen Collins has a quote to fix that piece of siding for $375. They have to take it off and take a piece from another piece of the house and then put the piece that won't match in another spot because they don't have the exact color anymore. So I'd like to somebody make a motion to
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to
Yep.
authorize
for
that.
St. Michael's Quality Construction to do the job. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. I'll print out a copy of the invoice.
So we're gonna pay the bill.
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out if it's for her or the guy, or whoever who wants it to, I guess, right? Okay, we're up to this touchy subject now. Sherman settlement action. So as everybody knows, we did a little explanation of this at the last meeting, and we put it up on the website so everybody could read it and see it, understand it. And now it's time, after 15 or so years, to put it to bed, I guess, put it to rest. So at this time, what will we need to put in a resolution, Scott, or in a motion, just authorize?
Just approving the settlement and the note, and then authorize you to sign both.
Okay.
I would say, with respect to the note, that has to be updated.
Okay,
And the other piece, just for everybody's.
so we'll do it pending legal review.
Updated, but
Yep.
the updated payment schedule or note. But,
Okay.
The one other piece is our last discussion, just the plaintiff is in the state, they still, the attorney has to get approval from surrogate's court. So
Okay.
that's been, I guess there's a request to get a calendar or court appearance in surrogate's court.
Okay,
So the court can review this and approve to allow the state to sign this as well.
okay,
It's more of a formality / technicality, but there may be a delay in that, so it's just authorizing you to sign at the appropriate time.
okay. All right, so that's the motion. Would somebody like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
Okay.
It's a big moment here. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Okay, budget. We're up to the budget review. So everybody knows we had a preliminary budget that we've been working through. I have done some adjustments to that budget since our last meeting. Some, changes here and there, corrections of a couple of items that weren't exactly, the numbers weren't exactly right with what the appropriations would be. What page is this? So the budget, the preliminary budget was 15,369,911. The budget with changes is 15,464,805. The appropriation, the revenues on the budget for the preliminary were 14 million. Yes, the revenues were 14,924,911, and I used $445,000 worth of fund balance to get to that number of 15,369,911. So the fund balances are from different accounts. The A fund being the largest fund balance use. Our A fund balance right now is probably somewhere around $1 million. I used in that fund balance, I used $400,000 of fund balance out of that. And part of that $400,000 fund balance is the $175,000 payment next year on the lawsuit we just voted on. I did that anticipating another revenue stream next year when we do start closing on units in the Greens of Chester. There will be a substantial tax increase, tax revenue stream coming into the town that we should be able to offset that next year in the budget with that. So it's like a stopgap, so I don't have to use tax money for this settlement agreement, like raise taxes or add to the tax appropriation, which would in turn wind up on everybody's tax bill. So that's a little cushioning factor I put in there for that.
So that'll become a line item then in 2020?
Yeah, I have it in there as a line item with all the other stuff. Now that's on the A fund, so that's the town of Chester as a whole. That's the town, the village, that's everything in Chester. That's where that money comes from for that. But I think it's a safe accounting for the town to do it this way. It'll take us 1 year with no impact on the tax base, and then our tax base will grow next year. And that's a fact. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. The other ones I use small amounts, 25,000 here on a water district, or $100-some thousand on the B fund, I believe. But the balances are all very strong on the fund balances. What other hot topics was there? I did have a little increase. We're going to change our accounting firm, so I'm going to have some increases in accounting funds on that. Our accountant is our current accountant has been with us a long time. He's done a great job for many years with Chester, but it's time for us to step up the game a little bit and get things done a little quicker, because the firm will have more resources to take care of that stuff for us.
And what's going to be the difference in cost?
So right now we probably pay about $35,000 total for our accounting services. I would expect that number to probably be around $50,000 to $60,000 going forward to get that done. So our taxes have gone up in this budget. This is like based on the tax cap. The state gives us our tax cap allowance is so we're allowed to raise tax. We're allowed to the limit we can raise in taxes is $10,291,000. In this budget, I have $10,123,000. So we are $167,000 under the tax cap in this budget. So all in all, that most of the town would see a small decrease in their tax bill. Maybe some won't, because they may be in a water district that has, money that they'll see on their bill. So the bottom line may look larger, but some of their items will go down.
Hey, Bob, can you just elaborate a little further on why we want to change the accounting firm? We're gonna jump up a little bit, and really it just was because we're gonna up our game. I don't know what that means.
So Phil, our accountant, he's been doing it a long time. He's an older gentleman, and he's a one-man show, basically.
Okay.
He's a one-man show, and he's put us in a little bit of a precarious situation a couple times with our audits, having our audits finished, like when I had to do bond rating calls or some different things. Moody's would call me, like, and I was calling him like on a daily, weekly basis, trying to push him to get the stuff to us because you need it. I mean, we have a AAA bond rating. It's the best bond rating a town our size can have, and I want to keep it that way. So the reports are important.
No, I got it. I just didn't know.
And then also the new accounting firm will also be able to, their municipal firm, so they'll be able to handle our ARPA funds that we have, so that we can finally get a schedule of expenditures for that and put that together, and they can walk us through that thing. They also are much more well-versed in the Edmund system and a lot of the accounting stuff that we do, and they'll be able to step up the game for Tanya in the bookkeeping department.
Now, is that something that we don't have to put out for bid to anyone?
Professional services.
It's professional service, okay.
You guys have any other questions? I mean,
Well, I gave you an array of questions,
Yes,
which I think I forward, you asked me to forward them to you, and I
forwarded
did.
to Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know if it came through or not because I was looking at it. So if we can just
But did we,
re-forward.
again, we talked about preservation, putting some money into
Yeah,
that, so.
I'm, like I said, I have 167,000 under the
Yeah.
cap, so I can put, some money in there in a line item for that.
Yeah, I think we have to start, because we
I mean,
talked
that
about
money,
it.
we could use that, if you put that in there, we could use that as a matching fund for some sort of a grant, maybe for planning, for different things like that.
Oh, that's, we gotta start, we've been talking about it. Just-
And then there's no ARPA funds included in this budget, so this is just.
Well,
a raw
that was one of
budget.
the questions I know we were talking about
So now if
using.
we do something like, say we, we buy, or we're gonna use some of that ARPA money for stuff that we already did. So all this electronic equipment here is all reimbursable through ARPA and different things like that. So all that, whatever we do reimbursement wise, or maybe grants that we get, all the money that we won't spend out of the budget just becomes fund balance.
Yep, okay.
So, yeah, I think,
And I gave you an array of questions, but now
Yeah.
we just, the highway department, we talked about $10,000 a month for repairs. Is that reflected? We gotta make sure that's reflected in here,
yeah.
if it isn't already.
Highway's very good with their numbers. Don is good. We don't usually cut down like the equipment funds when we do the budget.
Right.
So the equipment funds usually stay pretty locked in. Most of the stuff I play with in the budget as far as the highway is I usually adjust the salt numbers because then the salt.
I'm not saying playing with, but they talk about repairs and we should have $10,000 a month in it. I just want to make sure we have that reflected in there, so we're not in November next year.
Yeah, she has that in the. new
That's in
budget,
there,
in the
okay.
new budget.
I'll probably have some more questions to it before we adopt it, but
This is all going to be changed a little bit further, right? There was
Yeah,
some
yeah.
notes.
Yeah, I would expect that the $167,000 is going to be less. We're going to use a little bit of that to put some of the items back in there.
Yeah.
So, and that will change some of the bottom lines on the numbers, but so that's very small when you're talking about $15 million. So
yeah.
that almost, doesn't even show up on the bill.
I want to read the one comment I had from a resident.
Okay.
I suppose it's not a big thing on the budget, but anyway, I was asked to read. This is by, yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is from Kathy Jones Woodstack. She's unable to make the town board meeting today. And she states that I do like the courts in the village, but I was wondering how others would feel if I wrote the board about possibility of moving the pickleball courts to Chester Commons and fixing the tennis courts in the village. Reasoning that she didn't want the courts in the village because out in the commons you could have trees for shade and they do block the wind. The possibility for future lights, and it's closer to the senior center. That retired people are the best players, and no chance of noise complaints because if
That
you,
sounds like you're profiling. The seniors are better players.
well, could be, but hey, this is not my words. This is, I'm just reading. It's Montgomery is going to move their courts back from the park to, and install lights so that it does not impact the quality of life for the neighbors. And the thought of putting in 4 courts instead of 2 in that area.
So, I mean,
Did she say leave put those courts back to tennis courts?
Yes.
The ones that are in the village?
Yes, to leave them as tennis courts and,
that's too late.
Yeah.
Now that we're doing that. It's
Oh, well,
already
you're
been
right.
planned out and done, so.
Right.
You know, if there's a possibility somebody wants other courts, I mean, we've talked for several years about some kind of tennis courts maybe at the Commons, because there are the only courts we have for that kind of, like, you know, paddle games is in the village at Carpenter, so. But that's something that would have to be planned and budgeted for or grant, you know. There are I think we see a lot of grants for that kind of stuff. You know, Brendan forwards me a lot of stuff like that. But it's something we might be able to look at for grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And you could probably even use some ARPA money for matching funds or something like that. It would probably definitely apply. You know, find a good grant that doesn't need a huge match, you could use it.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Just doing my job.
When was on the grant, but I mean, I think we need to have some further discussion on the grants now, the grant company, because we've had it 2 years, and we know we're in a, you know, our income per capita is what it is. And we're not available for a lot of stuff. We really haven't gotten anything. So I mean, 35, that's 35,000, yeah, that's $70,000 we could have done something with. So I think it's a discussion we should have before we adopt this budget, because we really haven't, the ROI isn't there.
We are having a meeting with the grant writers 2 weeks from now on the 23rd. Before the meeting is at, I think it's at 1 o'clock if you're interested in coming.
What they,
And what's the purpose of the meeting? Or-
Just to go over future grant opportunities.
Before Thanksgiving.
Wednesday. I'm
Yeah.
working.
Yep.
We'll be having a meeting to go over the, you know,
Grant opportunities in the future and what our needs are. And I think that'd be a good opportunity. I can take notes and report back. To
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to attend that. But I just, you know, it's been 2 years now, and we are where we are, nowhere. So I just think
yeah, we basically got the Chargers.
Hmm.
Chargers, I mean, that was, you know, a substantial amount of money we got from them. It covered our writing for what we've paid so far. But
All in all, it was 1 grant.
the ROI just doesn't, it's not there.
It's, it's tough. I mean, it's a competitive.
It's our income. It's
Right.
our income in our town. I mean, it's no fault of nobody. We just fall in that, you know, we fall in that category. It's
Mhm.
just, but I don't think it's time to really take a hard look at it, because we're not, when, you know, we're investing in something, there's no return on it.
Okay, so we're not doing any more with the budget tonight then, right?
no, I just wanted to give you guys an overview of the budget and
Right.
see if you had questions for me, you know.
Do you
No,
know?
but we're not
any
adopting,
question?
we're not adopting
No,
anything.
I'd like to have a special meeting next Wednesday to adopt it. Do we have to have it? I have to have it in by the 18th for the county. Tanya, the bookkeeper, has gone through it. That's what all these little post-it notes are. You guys can see. So
Do you know when those post notes will be addressed in like the
I'll probably
final?
address those before the end of the week.
Yeah.
So then I'll get you a copy of it. A lot of them are just minor little changes, you know, a line or a couple dollars on something that didn't jive. There's no big changes in the post-it notes.
So we want to do that next Wednesday then?
Yeah, I'd like to do it next Wednesday, and that'd give
7.
us time to get our paperwork together so I can drop it off to the county.
We're gonna do 7 o'clock, like a normal meeting.
7 o'clock, good with you guys?
Yeah, it's fine.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
6
Oh, you
o'clock?
do? Oh, next Wednesday.
Do Tuesday?
7 o'clock, it's not 6.
Oh, 7?
We're gonna do yours at 6.
Yeah.
Okay, do it at 6
We can do
o'clock.
6.
Okay, 6 o'clock, okay with you guys? Okay, 6 o'clock then.
Okay.
It's only gonna take us a few minutes.
Need a
Just to,
motion.
you know.
I'll make the motion to schedule a meeting for the budget for November, what is it?
16.
November 16th at 6 o'clock.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. While we're on meetings, why don't we, the next meeting in November is the night before Thanksgiving. You know, in the past, we've, you
Canceled it.
we've canceled that meeting because usually there's not much on the agenda for it, and people have things to do the night before Thanksgiving, family things, or a lot of times people go away.
Yeah.
So, the pleasure of the board, if you guys like to cancel that meeting.
Okay, we make a motion for that too.
Somebody has to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to cancel the November 23rd meeting because of Thanksgiving.
Before there's a second, we don't have anything coming up that's gonna be necessary.
No, we scheduled that public hearing for the meeting after that.
Yeah.
If there is any kind of hot topic, we could take it up
On the 16th.
Yeah, if you have anything that's really needs immediate attention, we could do it next Wednesday.
I'll second that motion then.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. All right. That's it. Education requests, do we have any?
Yeah, there was
I've been
one.
waiting a long time for one of those. All right, from the town clerk's office, I respectfully request permission for Deputy Schmid to attend the NYSTCA regional meeting on December 12, 2022 in Corning, New York, costs $125. Includes conference and hotel. Please see attached for details. Program Officer, New York State Comptroller, Division of Local Government, School Accountability. So, would somebody like to make a motion to send Heidi off to school?
I'll make the motion to send Heidi to the class.
Okay, you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. It's only one?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Reports. You don't stack this for me. Okay, here's Fusco Engineering, Greens at Chester, SWIP Systems working well, waiting for transportation court plans at Sherwood County. Do you have any update on their water taking permit, Al? I know that the DEC's been dragging them along pretty much.
It's the DEC and also themselves. They gave us a very, very rough map of the proposed districts. I think I shared it with Scott, but it's not enough to send to the county.
Okay,
It did include, besides their property they just bought where they put a couple of roads in, and they also included some of the neighbors in case there was an issue with the roads, if they could be in that district.
okay, all right,
But that's all I have to report on it. I need a little more detail, like locations and
okay.
levels.
All right. Capelli Sports, SWIP's working well. Chester Pack, ADA paving starting next week.
Wow.
So it's going to be possibly Thursday. It's a 3-day job. And we have some extra money in that grant. So we're going to do some paving in the back of the building, some ADA paving and signage in the rear, which would be great. Okay, dog park and senior park, met with Councilwoman Smith regarding both. I guess you guys went over that fence, stuff like that. Yep, that's awesome. Reviewing agricultural area with planning board chairman. Is that the one we looked today?
Today.
Yep. Yeah, Bob was there. The Ag Center wants to put up some housing units and would complement their operation down there. And they do a lot. I think it would be nice. Complete secret for local law, what we did today. Okay. Now, water report. Okay, monthly water report. Water department processed and distributed 6,755,891 gallons of water. Lake Hill Farms, 2,000,005, Sugarloaf, 1,000,004, Surrey, 1,000,005, Walton Lake Estates, 939,000, Fieldcrest, 246,000, Town Hall, 12,000. Sampling by Orange County, monthly DOH forms, testing dates 10/5, 10/19, deliveries 10/13, mowing dates 10/27, flushing was done. Bunch of districts here. Sugarloaf was quiet routine operations. But some good news. Lydia at home, she'll be happy to hear this, that we have a new well there that puts out over 100 gallons a minute.
Wow.
And it hasn't been tested yet, but we're pretty positive that we're going to have good water there for them. Surrey Meadows, quiet, routine operation and maintenance. Lake Hill Farms, Walton Lake, they're all in good shape. Everything's been working pretty good.
Bob, we're on the water. I know we had, I think you and Tom were meeting last Friday. Did we get that all rectified with him?
We did not. We're gonna have to meet with Tom still.
All right, so we got to get that done.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we talking about?
Tom's appointment through the county, through the
Mhm.
civil service, through human resources, had a time frame on it. So we want Tom to finish up some projects that he had started for us. We're trying to find a different way to keep him on as a professional services or something.
We can't just extend the current.
Not to do, we can't do human resources.
Hmm.
So it's not my expertise, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, okay. Okay, so this is from Kristen, from Park Maintenance and Parks. Responded to complete several maintenance requests, fencing completed at T-ball field in Carpenter Park, clay delivered, fields being completed, routine maintenance will clean up at all Town of Chester Parks. Bathrooms will be closed for winter in a couple of weeks. As a clerk, she's routine ordering and invoicing. Town of Chester Parade Trunk or Treat was very well attended. The event. Thank you all who participated, working on ideas to expand for next year. Participated and assisted with following events: overnight bus trip to Lancaster, all shows at the PAC, debate and rally, as well as anniversary party and dedication of the pavilion to Richard and Susan Logothetis. Worked with Councilman Holdridge and grant writers on 2 opportunities, gathered registrations for basketballs, and information will be going out with details on the program before Thanksgiving.
Just the top.
Just a top. Okay, Walter, EV stations have been installed at the PAC parking lot. Black capping to be completed end of November. Free Fall Concert Series finished October 20th. Rocky Horror Picture Show played to a house of 550 people, was a huge success. Strange Things will pack the theater, huh?
Who knew?
November 3rd, the PAC held a debate for the Senate candidates. Andrew Dice Clay will be at the PAC on November 25th and 26th, and December starts Nutcracker season for dance studios. Several of them doing the Nutcracker there, so they're very well attended too. Building department report. Building department is still busy, just as busy as it was during the summer. 867 LaRue has received the plan approval from DPW, and the site is being monitored by myself and DPW and designing engineer. Property owners stay making correction to property and the neighbors. There's still a lot to do. Our progress is definitely being made. I've driven by there a few times. It does look substantially better. As a reminder, building inspector will be at a conference November 15th through the 18th for educational credits for the year. There are currently 5 court cases with the next appearance November 28th. We'd like to remind the public the heating season is among us, and for your safety, please service your furnaces and chimneys. Also, don't forget to change the batteries in all your smoke carbon monoxide detectors at least once a year. Every habitable sleeping area must have a smoke detector. Respectfully, Alexa, building inspector.
Mr. Supervisor, before we get on to the next one, I may have missed it. Did we talk about the email we got about Fieldcrest, the water over there? No? Is it like something that we need to, can we just announce it? We received an email about
They had like a boil water order there?
failed to provide adequate disinfection. They said that the water's fine to drink still, and they'll be notifying the town if there's any issue, but yeah. Is that going to be like posted on the website or something?
Yes, it will be posted on the website if it hasn't already been done.
Okay. I just wanted the residents to know that.
Yeah, so it's only relative to those residents.
Right.
And it's village water supply.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, we buy the water there from the village.
Mhm.
Okay, highway report. Below the summary, some of the recent activities, the highway department has been receiving a lot of calls about leaves. There's 1 leaf machine, 1 truck crew, and 1 crew. We would like to be able to provide a schedule, but we cannot anticipate how long it's going to take to clean one area versus another. Some areas take less, some areas take more time. Residents may cover their leaves with a tarp to prevent blowing. The crew will leave the tarp to the side when complete. Leaves should be placed curbside, not in the road. We appreciate everyone's cooperation and understanding. The leaf crew will continue picking up leaves until December 2nd. Crack filling is currently being performed on some of the town roads. This process prevents water from entering the pavement and eliminates further cracking in that area. The maintenance will conclude Thursday, November 10th. The generator to Highway Department was completed on November 7th and is fully functional. After all billing is received and processed, the reimbursement will be submitted. Highway has assisted with the Sugarloaf Performing Arts Center with millings, and the Water Department by patching in water breaks that happened in the last several weeks. Continued preparation for the winter season is ongoing. Yes, we did well with the millings that we got from Sugarloaf Heights and did a lot of skim coating of the side parking lots. And, it made it look really nice.
Believe it or not, we've got this one.
Oh, look at this. That time of year, huh? Whew. Operation Toy Train, Toys for Tots. Dear Mr. Valentine, I'm writing to advise that our annual Operation Toy Train in conjunction with the Middletown and New Jersey Railroad will be rolling into Sugarloaf on Sunday, December 11, 2022. The train will be stopping at Amory's Country Deli at 1398 Kings Highway from 10:35 to 11:10. We're asking Sugarloaf support in our effort to collect toys for less fortunate children. Our success is dependent upon all of the local towns' toy collection efforts. Please speak with Sugarloaf Civic Organization and spread the word. The toys are distributed by U.S. Marine Corps, domiciled at Stewart Air National Guard Base. The Marine Corps Toys for Tot program makes a difference in the lives of less fortunate children of our community. Last year, we collected over 20,000 toys for needy children in this year and expect the need to be greater than last, and we're asking you to help. Local Toys for Tots team works very hard to make Toys for Tots a success, but we can never do it without the help of concerned citizens and business leaders. We rely on local businesses for assistance in a number of areas, including providing toy collection sites, assisting in the transportation of storage of toys, and helping promote Toys for Tots in the media. Operation Toy Train can be found at www.operationtoytrain.org. On behalf of Operation Toy Train Team, we'd like to thank you, Sugarloaf and Sugarloaf, for their support in the toy collection effort.
And can you also announce the Kiwanis has a box here at Town Hall for the collection?
So Kiwanis has a toy box here at Town Hall to collect toys, so bring them in and fill it up.
Thank you.
That's it. We have to do this thing here for you too, right, Cindy?
Yep.
All right, I know this is what everybody has been waiting for.
You're right.
This is the quote for the
This is for the
net
permanent
for the pickleball,
nets.
the permanent net for the pickleball court. So Ketchum Fencing is the one,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Yeah, we did. Didn't we do this last meeting?
No, we didn't. We did not, well, we did it, but it has to be signed and returned.
So you just need a signature.
It's okay. So could somebody give me authorize the supervisor to sign the Ketchum Fencing quote for the pickleball nets?
I'll make the motion for the
Okay.
supervisor to sign the contract for the pickleball net.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
If it's not the right one, you just let me know. We'll I'm sure that's.
Just make a copy of them. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll take a copy and I'll contact them and what have you.
Okay.
This is the other thing that came late.
Oh, okay. This is,
This is the paperwork for signatures.
okay. Okay, so I got a late request from the highway department as far as that generator we just spoke about, that they need a signature from me so that they can request reimbursements from DASNY for,
And another board member, please.
and another board member. Okay, so
Motion.
do we have a motion for myself and the deputy supervisor to sign the paperwork for the grant payment requisition?
I'll motion.
Okay.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Two signatures. Bottom of this one, Cindy.
This one? Yep.
Anything else in your stack, Linda? Okay. I don't have anything for executive session. Do you have anything, Scott, we need to talk about? No, not good. Okay. All right, let's go on to town board comments. Bob, what do you have down on your end of the table?
I honestly don't have anything
Okay.
tonight.
We went over a lot of stuff, so.
Yeah.
We must have handled it all, right? Okay. Cindy, what do you have?
I've been, well, I met with Al for the senior exercise park, so we can get the grant going, so we can have a timeline on that. I have a whole layout that I worked with Michelle as far as the equipment. The equipment comes out to 125,000. The grant is for 150,000. So, like I say, and then I have, I'm just working with Al to shore up as to what we need, what's the timeline for the grant.
Okay.
We're working on that.
Is that going to require the services of our grant writers or?
That's a grant we already have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
We got it 5 years ago.
oh, okay.
right.
That's great.
5 years ago, we're just getting.
Just getting there. We're getting there.
But guys need that long to-
Yeah, figure that
I
out.
thought it was something to work.
Best part about grants,
Yeah.
once you get them, it's like, it's just the start.
Gotcha.
Also, I'm working on bids for the dog park fencing. The highway is going to do the grading. It's presumed for next year. I already spoke to John Riley about it. And he said didn't have a problem, but of course they can't do it this year. So by next meeting, I will have 3 bids for that and the layout. I also, the farm market is all finished for this season. The 2 or 3 vendors that were there steady, they want to come back next year. We were going to, we've got already a few different ideas to hopefully bring in a couple more products and vendors. So I'll be working through the winter about that. Also, just as a reminder for Veterans Day, which is Friday, Swarovski's is having their luncheon at LK Drive this year because of the construction up in Goshen. So any veterans there. And of course, there was one naysayer on Facebook saying that Swarovski only does that to sell vehicles, which is not true because they've been doing it for 10 years and it's a big turnout. They have a lot of veterans, so but that's where it's going to be. They have to change the venue this year. It can't be right up at their business in Goshen.
I
And
think the fire department's doing something at 11 o'clock on Friday, so it's supposed to rain, but they're gonna do it at the firehouse.
oh, okay,
Which
well.
fire?
It's Walton Edge.
Walton?
Yeah, okay. So, because the veterans really look forward to going to different places, for Veterans Day. So, and that's all I have.
Okay, Brandon, what do you have?
Very light today. I sent a couple grants. A lot of people on the board and others in the community way. So please take some time to look at them. And then I had something from the library that they wanted me to announce to the public. They are having digital navigators at the library, which help people at local community organizations such as libraries. They can help you find low-cost internet service, get your device working, and do things on computers and smartphones. So they have that on their website, and they just wanted the public to know about it. So I'll be posting it as well. That's it for me.
Okay. I get my announcements out along the way, so I'm good. And, all right, so I guess that's a wrap.
That's
Somebody like to make a motion to close the meeting for this evening?
I'll make the motion to close the meeting.
Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.